Hello to you all, and welcome to Pyramid Energy, a journey through intuition, wisdom, and loving insight. My name is Khunze. If you've journeyed with me before, welcome back, and thank you all for being here with me. The purpose of today's video is to heal anger. Whether you're aware of anger playing out in your life or not, I believe that this particular recording will be profoundly healing and an opportunity for us to play a part in each other's healing. This is an intention that I have placed for this recording, sparked by a comment that I picked up in the comment section of this channel. Although I was not aware of any anger living in and existing within myself, I was very touched by this comment because I found it so courageous for the audience member to actually express it. I believe that many of us do have a lot of awareness around what anger is and what it does in our lives. But again, I was very touched by this comment telling me that there's something within myself that is there to share because it stayed with me. And so as I lean into this emotion and the information that it's sharing with me, there's nothing around it or within it that I'm going to take for granted that I already know and that you already know. And this is because fundamentally I'm learning that anger is an emotion that we take for granted. And what I mean by that is that it's a word. It's a word we use so often. And so as it arises, whether it's in our lives or around us or in the life of someone else that we either observe it in or that they admit to us, it's an emotion and a word that is very easy to skirt over. And what happens with that is that we end up bypassing everything that is actually being said with that word. And so then everything that it has to offer is lost. Yet the anger is still left breeding what it breeds and sitting in a place where mentally it's been given a name, but it hasn't been offered the healing that it's due. 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. This confirms the message that while there's so much that we're busy with, this is a moment to slow down, come back to basics so that we can re-enter our journey and start building our momentum afresh. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. Oh, bono, bono, 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 oh. Ho'oponopono is a mantra from ancient Hawaiian cultural practice. Literally, it means, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And the definition I found on Google says that it translates to make right, and involves a process of reconciliation and healing within oneself and with others, emphasizing love, forgiveness, and taking responsibility. The practice is rooted in the belief that problems stem from internal disharmony and can be resolved by addressing the root cause. I can't take credit for this particular tune, and I really don't know what the original tune of the Ho'oponopono mantra is, but I came across this lady playing an instrument that looks like a guitar, but it's not. And she sang this mantra, and I found her singing so innocent, her melody so innocent and so healing. I searched and searched YouTube before coming on here to see if I could find the link, but I can't find it. And so if anyone recognizes this melody and knows this video, please comment with the link. Before I say anything more, and before I forget to mention, I have a standard disclaimer that I share in the description box of the majority of my videos, just to share that I am not a healthcare professional. I'm not a mental and emotional well-being professional. I'm not certified in anything. I must say this and stress it. As I was preparing for this container, not really knowing where to begin, I asked Spirit, where in the body, which chakra does anger exist in? And the answer I got was that it radiates and it permeates. The word permeate took me immediately to the idea that it actually affects all of our chakras. It affects our entire body. And so then I went to Google to ask the same question, and it said it sits in the solar plexus. And I also found the Sanskrit name for the solar plexus, which is Manipura. The meaning of Manipura is city of jewels. This is what the word translates to. And so for me, this is to say that to treat this emotion and to treat this particular chakra in a way that amounts to taking it for granted is not wise. We know from the color of the solar plexus chakra that it's yellow, saying that it's golden, which speaks to it being the city of jewels. But more than that, these words to say that this chakra radiates and that it permeates speaks to how much it shines. You know, the solar plexus is how we show up for ourselves. The solar plexus is what shines a light on everything that we see. It represents the sun, and it represents our energy, where our energy goes, how much of it we have access to and where it goes. It also makes things visible to us. It makes life visible to us. You know, if you go back to what the sun represents, it's also a source of energy. So it's a portal to our own source energy. And so it radiates, telling me that it spreads. And the word permeate also says it spreads, but that tells me that it spreads from the inside. It's powerful. It's also a very painful emotion. However, what the word anger does, and what anger does in itself, is that it sits as an overlay over the pain, and it allows us to mask the pain with a word, anger, and it sits underneath and it continues to radiate and permeate, affecting everything we do, affecting our energy levels, affecting everyone that we interact with, and affecting our perception of the world and our perception of ourselves. And in saying those words, I can actually feel a shift in my own heart an opening. It feels like my heart is feeling something that it has not felt before now. And so this acknowledgement of the existence of pain and the existence of anger, what it does is that it shines a light onto my heart, upwards onto my heart chakra, and allows things that I have not felt before to be felt. Which also explains this idea that so much cannot be perceived and felt with clarity, while all of this emotion is still trapped in the solar plexus and masked with a label. And I feel like what the mantra does is it allows a gentle healing. It opens a gentle pathway of innocence to allow for the heart to be opened more gently and to reduce at least the level or the amount at a time of resistance that would then, if not approached this way gently, result, I wanted to say reversal, but what I want to say more clearly is not withdrawal, but a turning back into the solar plexus, because this awareness in itself is painful. And so in this resistance where we don't want the heart to feel these painful emotions, we turn back and we store this emotion in the solar plexus, where it gets to sit for so much longer. And I know that this is already healing because I've got tears coming out of my eyes. And I just want to say that I feel this pain. I feel this pain. And so while I didn't wake up with this anger, I didn't wake up with this pain, this is an acknowledgement of our collective healing and our privilege to sit with each other, to see each other, and to be there for each other, not just in our times of when we are showing up, but also in our times where we feel unable to show up, and to see each other and to say, I feel your pain because I feel it within me. And so your pain no longer goes unacknowledged because I share it with you. And with this, I feel how much your pain is calling for transformation. How much it's calling before the transformation for healing. I feel how long you've sat with it. And I feel your need for it to be seen by more than just yourself. And so my wish is that if these emotions rise within you, my wish is that you allow them. Please allow this emotion to rise through you, because as we heal together, right now I feel myself in the more painful part of transmutation. Okay? As we heal and feel this pain, we are alleviating it on behalf of the collective. There are so many people that listen to content here on YouTube, reading stuff. We all listen. And what we're listening to is the content of people that are showing up. And so what this does is that it triggers inside the parts of us that feel unable to show up, again, for ourselves and for others. I believe what this mantra does, not just the mantra, but the acknowledgement of this pain that sits in the form of anger. I believe that what it does is that this acknowledgement becomes a form of awareness. And it's awareness that heals us. But I think that the way I'm seeing it is that even when we are aware of anger and its existence, this resistance to allowing it to open the heart is where the block lies. And where the regression then happens, where this emotion then regresses back into the solar plexus to sit for longer. And I'm saying this because I'm sitting in this emotion in my heart right now and really feeling it. And I don't know if you've picked up in like the struggle with my words, because the heart requires for presence. It requires for us to sit in that feeling, in that discomfort, if it's that, for a while, for the heart to be able to fulfill its role in healing. And I say fulfill its role because the healing of the heart, the majority of it, the healing of the heart is primarily taken care of through presence, not through an active process. So for me to communicate this with you today, okay, for me to communicate with this with you today is an active process. Okay, so I had to bring myself here and show up to be able to create this acknowledgement and to create this awareness. These are masculine, but once they're there, we then open up to the receipt of everything that can then happen automatically. And I'm wary of using the word automatically because of how automatically the closing happens. And so what has to happen as we hear the words and open up to the awareness is to create an intention, again, another active process, to create an intention to stay open. And so this is where the masculine parts of us are asked to keep this door open while the heart does its feminine process of healing. It's the masculine parts of us that allow, and the feminine parts of us that receive, that just be. This recording is already at almost 18 minutes, and so I recognize that it's taking time. But I'm going to honor it and I'm going to give it time, because again, we don't often give anger time. We don't give pain time, and that's what it asks for. And I'm seeing it within myself, and so I know it's going to bring up pain within you, listening to it. But please remain as an observer. Let's not let this pain and this anger, this emotion, sit unattended and unacknowledged, unfelt with awareness. It's been a long time for me since I've sat with painful emotion. It's been a long time. I remember when someone first introduced the gift of forgiveness to me. This was in December of 2023, and so maybe a year and a half ago. And I was still sitting in a huge awareness of a whole lot of things that had been done wrong to me. And while I thought I'd forgiven them, the things, I had not forgiven the person. And it was very difficult to forgive the person, the people, because they were still in the active process of inflicting this pain on me. From this end that I'm sitting on now, that I'm sitting at, I have the awareness that it's the pain within them that then resulted in all of this pain being inflicted on me. And so the only way to stop this cycle, because it becomes a cycle, the pain in them radiates, permeates through them, and then radiates onto me and then begins its process of radiating and permeating within me, which then radiates and permeates onto others and onto my world. I was sitting at this restaurant, getting some alone time. I hardly shared any words with this stranger. I shared basically nothing with him. He imposed. He came, stood around where I was sitting by myself, holding a novel, pretending to read. And he told me that he doesn't know much about me, but that he feels called to share with me that I need to start practicing forgiveness because I've been holding space. This is not verbatim, this is just what I remember from his message, that I have been holding space, upset with someone, angry at someone, all the things that they have done to me. And I've been holding space for them, and that I need to forgive them because that space I'm holding is so valuable. And this behavior that I'm engaging in is blocking my blessings. And so now I'm spending time waiting for my blessings, unaware that that space is being taken up. The blessings are there waiting to come in. However, that I'm allowing this absence of forgiveness, which is the holding of anger against someone else. I'm holding space for anger to live in my life and not realizing my blessings. I believe that the only reason I was able to actually absorb these words that he said to me is because he didn't know me from a bar of soap. And so this meant that I needed to sit with myself. If any of the healing practices that I had been engaging with meant anything, this was a call to sit with myself. And after all, I went to that restaurant to sit with myself, to get space, to heal. And this is the type of healing that found me that day. This talk with him, while the healer in me wanted to now engage, and oh my gosh, the wonder of meeting someone who doesn't know me, who says these words to me. I mean, I almost got lost in that topic. But at the end of the day, I was still left with sitting with what he'd shared with me, this information he'd delivered to me. And I don't think at the time I had the awareness to say that the only reason that I was able to hold this anger, this person's anger with me, is that there was an anger within myself that I was holding. I didn't have the understanding, access to the wisdom to actually understand that I was holding space for anger, that I had anger inside of myself. And it's so easy for anger to go unrecognized. It's so easy because its effects make so much noise. It creates so much distraction. And that's what the purpose of the noise that's created by pain and anger is to distract, is to turn one's gaze outward, to be distracted by what's going on out there instead of turning inward. It's very difficult to turn inwards and deal with pain. It's very difficult in the moment. But Ho'oponopono allows us to approach anger and the need for forgiveness with gentleness and with innocence, so that we can open this door for our hearts to do the job of healing us. After that day, I can't tell you when it happened, but it's a process that began to unfold gently and gradually in my life. It's as if I blew a whole lot of air into this balloon, this helium balloon, and then tied it up and released it. And so I released it into the sky, let's say, and up and up and up and up and it went, and I followed it. I tracked it. I tracked it until, you know, this moment when you watch a helium balloon fly up into the air where you realize you're about to be able to not see it. And I believe that this emotion felt like that. That's how all of this information that I was holding in this balloon of anger regarding this one particular person, that's how it started to fly out of my life. And so there's this memory, yes, of this balloon and myself blowing it up and watching it and letting it go and watching it rise up into the sky. You know, with that comes this understanding that, I mean, through this analogy that I'm sharing with you, this understanding that I may never get fully in touch with everything that's inside that balloon, and that my time with that balloon is limited because I'm letting it go. But that's okay. That's okay, because at the time of letting go, that is all I had, even without the full understanding of everything that I blew into that balloon. That intention of letting it go, that release, is all I had in that moment. The decision that I made in that moment is all that I had power over. And releasing it, watching it become a small speckle. I mean, I can remember, let me put it this way. I can remember every phase, vaguely, but also vividly, of this balloon becoming smaller. I can't remember the distinct moment where it finally vanished. But I'll forever hold the memory of this balloon becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and knowing that it now lives in the sky or somewhere, deflated somewhere, okay? Beyond me, not inside of me. 2727. I looked up the meaning of mantra because, I mean, there are two major mantras that have really healed me in my life. One being the Hare Krishna chant, and the other being Ho'oponopono. And it's hard to explain the healing power of these mantras. I don't know where they originated, I don't know. But what happens is that as you sing it for yourself, and remember that your own healing voice, your own voice is the most healing to you. As you sing it, it does its work. And I believe that Ho'oponopono is this healing because it then holds the space for you on your behalf. It holds the space of your heart open, the path from your solar plexus to your heart. It keeps that active process that I referred to as being masculine. It keeps that door open so that the gentle healing can then be accessed by the heart, so that this pain can move into the heart and be felt, and to avoid that resistance of running back to your solar plexus and storing it away again. It keeps that door open. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. Ho'oponopono, ponopono, ho'oponopono, ho'oponopono. And I had to sing it again because even for me it is difficult to sit in this emotion. However, I have this determination within me to sit with you and transmute this emotion through awareness, through voice, through presence, because it is an emotion that is seldom held space for its healing. The space that is held for it is the type, most often, that allows it to sit, this projection form that it sits in, where we view it as being external and not allowing it to be seen internally. And so I'm determined to turn this around and to feel it within myself, with you, in presence, so that you can heal, and so that I can heal, so that we can heal, because I believe in the power of collective healing. Google says, a mantra is a sacred utterance, syllable, word, or phrase, often repeated as a focus for meditation or prayer, believed to have spiritual or religious power. And this definition of a mantra is a reminder that we don't always have to understand absolutely every aspect of what needs to be healed. It's more the awareness that this pain exists, and staying open so that this process can happen automatically. And we're given the mantra to hold space for us and to hold our presence in the moment. And you know, this word innocence keeps coming up for me because of it's an energy that runs through this particular Ho'oponopono melody or the mantra itself. There's an innocence that is present, and I believe that innocence is there. I believe that that innocence is what's holding space for the inner child, the part of us that needs forgiveness as well, for not being able to see these transgressions as they were happening. And innocence says, you did not know at the time. And so that's your inner child coming up to be healed as well. And while we might have an understanding, this understanding that God does not ask for our forgiveness, our relationship with God is affected by anger. Because why would this thing happen to us? How can it be allowed? How can it be allowed? And so there's this anger that then keeps us held back from experiencing and witnessing our blessings, because inherently it means that there's an anger that we hold towards this presence that we expected to hold space for us, to protect us, and to show up for us, and to intervene when this transgression was taking place. But then it's important to understand and become aware that this anger is a gift, not a curse. It's something that is allowed to happen in our lives. These transgressions are allowed to happen in our lives. Number one, because everyone has free will. Okay? Number two, to actually acknowledge this anger means that then you have access to the city of jewels. And so how will you even search for the gate? How will you even look for the pathway to the city of jewels if you don't know that it exists? Anger is a gift. It is a gateway to your personal power. And 3355 on the clock tells me that, you know, in the process of your manifesting and building these visions that you've had within yourself and plans that you have, this gate that you're opening right now through forgiveness is going to allow for you to see the changes in your life. And seeing and witnessing these changes that it brings into your life is going to allow you to help others that you come across with this healing knowledge around anger and forgiveness. There's something else that has come up for me around the meaning of this Ho'oponopono mantra. I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. These 4 phrases, okay, and I went into them to look into what each means. Again, not wanting to take any aspect of this emotion called anger for granted. And I found it to directly correlate, almost, with what psychologists refer to as the 5 stages of grief. And I'm not sure if I completely agree with these stages happening, consecutively in that order, because I believe that this process, the way I'm seeing it and the way I've experienced it, is that this process, again, I'm not a healthcare professional, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not qualified. And so I'm just sharing what is coming through me with you. But the way I've witnessed this dealing with anger, it feels a little bit like 3 steps forward, 1 step back, almost like a hopscotch that happens in a movement forward, but then a hop backwards and a back and forth. It's a negotiation. And again, it's a negotiation because it's painful to keep this space open. The 5 stages of grief. Google says these are a model developed by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross to understand the grieving process. These stages are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And so I've never actually looked into these properly, but I don't believe that anyone listening now is dealing with, let's say, the stage of denial, because we are creating awareness here, awareness being the healer. We are creating awareness. And so by the time you arrive to deal with anger, to deal with this emotion, to deal with this grief, you've created the awareness around it. Anger is there in itself. Bargaining speaks directly to this negotiation that I was talking about. Because what happens is that, and the word bargaining brings up actually more, because what happens is that you're dealing with this person, this figment of a person, let's say, because they're not sitting with you to deal with this frustration and this anger. They're not sitting with you, and so you're sitting and holding space for them, for yourself and for them, in one container. This container that keeps opening and closing and opening and closing and opening and closing, because it's a difficult container to hold. And so what happens is that you fetch some of this grief, some of this anger, and it's so difficult to hold. It's a hot potato. What do you want to do? You want to pass it off to the other person. And the other person's not there. And so you keep trying to pass it on to this other person, and then you have a moment where you decide, okay, I'm going to hold space, and then you take it back and you hold it, and you're able to chip off a bit more of it, but then you hand it back to the other person, and again, they cannot hold it because they're not there in presence with you, and so you take it back again. It's such a bargaining process. It is by nature a bargaining process. And that's why it takes so much time. But I want us to take time back now. I want us to return time into our own power. This is something that I learned this week. I shared an extended where we talk about personal power and the power that we have over time and over money and over our minds. This is something that just came through in that extended as a major theme. But while time exists, it's made into something that we feel is beyond us. And dealing with anger can definitely, I'll leave the link to that extended below, but dealing with anger can make us feel like it's taking up so much time. And I want you to invite this mantra of Ho'oponopono into your life. Not just for when you feel grief and anger, but for when you witness it in someone else. Because when we watch someone else showing up in a way that looks angry, we need to recognize that it's easy for us to identify externally. But the fact that we are witnessing it, and I'm saying this for everyone, including myself. I'm saying this for everyone who's listening. Everyone who's listening, holding space for others, and everyone who's listening, dealing with their own anger, to say the only difference here is our perception of this anger, where it sits, and our awareness of it sitting within us. Because everything that we see externally is a reflection of ourselves. And so while we might want, including myself, to sit here in this container, listening to my voice, while we might believe we are martyrs, helping other people deal with this pain, this is actually a reflection of ourselves. And I'm saying this to allow for everyone to take ownership of their personal power and ownership of where they are holding grief and holding anger in their own being. Because we can do this. We can do this together. We can do it. And when you turn away from your ability to do it, that amounts to handing out a license to the person who's actively dealing with it to do the same with theirs. So the same way that I could sit with you here today and speak at the person with anger, I could speak at them and I could dish out wisdom to them. I could. But there's no way of dealing. I don't know how to. The only way for me to dish out wisdom to someone dealing with anger would again be for me to Google what anger is about and to hand them the list of definitions that I've found, and I need to sit with them and I need to acknowledge that it is difficult to face this emotion, but to share with them that it's possible to face it, because it is. And so let us shorten this physical idea of how much time is needed to deal with anger, okay? Let us shorten the space by actually holding the space open, allowing these emotions to be felt and being present so that our heart can work. It works rapidly. The heart works so rapidly when we stay open. When we keep the heart open, you have no idea, and I have no idea, of how much transmutation can happen just by keeping this space open. And at the risk of repeating myself maybe an eighth time, I believe that Ho'oponopono is magical because it can hold this space. The space is so difficult to hold on our own without assistance and without a structure to keep, I'm seeing what do you call these? I don't know what it's called, and I'm not going to Google it, but that bracket that can hold a closing door open. So this closing door has a force that automatically makes it close, but there's this bracket that you can use to hold the space open that is stronger and more firm than the power that's driving, the force that's driving the door to close. That's what Ho'oponopono is. I've come back to these 5 stages because the last 2 I had not touched on yet. The 4th one being depression. Depression feels like, we want to turn away from it as well. However, it needs to be acknowledged because it is what holds the pain. And I don't know if I've expressed that appropriately. It is the feeling. It is the feeling that has been suppressed. It is that resistance against the pain. And we have held space for that today. I'd say that the depression phase of this recording is the emotion that I felt before I start singing Ho'oponopono. And it's the reason I sing Ho'oponopono, is because that space is difficult to hold. And so it is one of the stages. And acceptance. Acceptance being, this needs to happen. This has happened, and healing needs to happen. And that I am tired of feeling this feeling. I am tired of the role that it has been given time and space to play in my life. I am tired of its impact and its effects. And I am tired of denying its existence. Forgiveness is so powerful. Forgiveness is so powerful because, number one, its door is always open. Its door is always open, and there is nothing it cannot make room for. And I feel called to say that the time has come to stop looking at the person or the people that have inflicted pain in your life, that have done things to you that are wrong, that are hurtful, the people that have violated you, the people that have left you in pain, the people that have taken your joy, or the people that you believe have taken your joy, your peace. It is not possible to take someone's peace, because peace comes from God, and peace is infinite, and the door to peace is always open. It is only us that have the power to close the door to peace, to close the door to love, and to close the door to forgiveness. That door is always open. And so the same door I referred to before, like those elevator doors where it keeps closing, we then assume the position of that bracket I mentioned to keep it open. And so I invite you into Ho'oponopono in every moment where you notice that you may be closing this door to peace on yourself, to keep it open, and to use Ho'oponopono to keep it open. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. Oh, Ho'oponopono, 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 Ho'oponopono. That was difficult. Not the singing, but turning to the singing. And please, your singing doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to sing. You just need to sing. And pain by nature is not perfect. Anger is not perfect. Healing is not perfect. But it's the healing that is healing. And so please keep that door open. Become the bracket that holds this force away, that holds the door that feels like it just closes, that keeps it open. And your healing will be rapid. I promise you. Your healing is possible. And we're often told, you see these pictures and these memes or whatever, these nuggets of wisdom and nuggets of advice that say that it takes X amount of time to get over Y type of experience or Z person. So the length of time you spent with them, or the length of time that you spent angry at a certain thing, or dealing with a certain thing, or building up this idea of a future with this thing, whatever it is that you built up, that it takes, let's say, double the amount of time or the same length of time to get over it. It's not true. It's not true. This is only true if we don't hold the space open for forgiveness. Forgiveness is powerful. Forgiveness is powerful. It is just often difficult, and we don't know how to do it. And we don't know how to keep its door open. That's why it takes long. And in that sense, I'm inclined to say that it could feel like it will take forever. Not double the time, not triple the time, way longer. Because it's not time that heals. It's not time that heals. It's the infinite opportunity of peace and forgiveness, acceptance, and staying open that heals. And awareness. It's awareness that heals, not time. We take time, we hold it, we use it to keep the space open, where it's infinite, where we enter the eternity of it, the infinite of it, the expansiveness of the moment. That's where the healing happens. And then we come back to the present and we get to witness how transformative it is. And with that, we get to share it and its healing power. I'm going to pull a card for this to close. And I just want to say that if you've actually made it to the end of this, I am so grateful. Because, you know, what's coming to mind to say is that there's actually not much that I've said here in this hour that I've spent with you. There's actually not much that I've said. What I've done is held space for healing. I've used words and I've used this hour of time. But the stuff that I've shared with you, the words that I've shared with you, are not really new to you. They're not new. What perhaps is new is the holding of space for this topic on anger. And something else that's coming to mind is this idea of timeless readings. We've all come across them, and for some reason when we hear it, we believe it's not true. And I cannot speak for all other readers to say, you know, they're being honest and that they have integrity and all of that. We all need to use our discernment as we listen to anyone or anything. And so I'm not excluding myself in these words that I'm going to say. But this understanding of timeless readings or timeless healings is that if there is wisdom in the information, it's the wisdom that is timeless. It's not actually the reading. It's the wisdom that is timeless. And because of divine timing, it's when that reading or pocket of wisdom, it's that when it finds you, that's when it applies to you. And it's this that gives us the freedom of listening to whatever we want to listen to and allowing it to resonate when it does. And to allow it to not be our time for it to resonate when it doesn't. And I'm saying that because this is one of those. This is one of those. And so maybe it landed in a timely moment. But its nature is timeless. Especially because forgiveness is something that we are constantly called back to. And not just when we're dealing, maybe the biggest bout of forgiveness that we have to overcome is when we realize we're being held back. But forgiveness is a healthy practice to engage in frequently. Not just for ourselves, but for the world. and for those around us. And in every moment where we're triggered into turning away from it, I'm guilty. I am guilty. I am guilty of turning away from people that project anger onto me. And I'm not saying this to suggest that I'm expected to show up in that person's face and to forgive them in their face. Absolutely not. What I'm saying is that when I see anger in another person, instead of turning away and telling myself I'm better than them for practicing forgiveness, I am better than them for not displaying my anger so overtly, I am better than them, because that's turning away from your own anger. Because the fact that you've noticed this anger says it is inside of you. You've seen it. You recognize it. You recognize it. And so whether it resonates or causes a resistance, it's there. And so this is the moment where we're invited to forgive and not to sit and unpack what it is we're angry about, because the point of this is not now to go and open that suitcase that you don't need and start rummaging through it to open up old wounds. That is not the purpose. I'm reminding you about my balloon. It's the energy of forgiveness that we want to spread, that we want to radiate, and that we want to permeate. And so when we hold space within ourselves, we're holding space for others, and we're holding space for the world which we are in. Something else is coming up for me, and I'm thinking about now that a lot of us are moving through this portal, this manifestation portal, into a new world and into a new way of being. There's a lot of content that I've come up on that talks about these people that come back, that resurface, people from your old way of being that resurface during this time, either as distractions or as tests, whatever that is. Personally, I've been a witness to this, and my reaction has been interesting. And I'm observing my reaction compared to other times I've moved through portals. And what I've struggled with the most is most definitely this idea of whether I am expected, by my higher self to respond, how I'm expected to show up. Because it's in this thought process and in this contemplation that we are actually sharing energy. And so that this is the understanding that there are certain people and certain energies that you have decided at this point in your life that you no longer want to give your energy to. And now that you've progressed beyond that timeline, when pieces of it pop up, again, in the form of distraction or whatever that may be, how do you react? Does it begin to build a karma, negative karma, when you ignore? Is ignoring a turning away from? Is not responding, bypassing? All these thoughts have been coming up for me. And what's coming through for me now is that Ho'oponopono applies to this too. Because when you just want release from something, what then happens is that the people pleaser and the self-sacrificer, honestly, that is who comes up to question whether you owe that person something and whether you owe your karma more of it, that kind of thing. And so I believe that this is powerful in that sense too. And this forgiveness within oneself and on behalf of others is really powerful, because it's also a reminder that I am not responsible for other people's healing. And while I may believe or see myself as sitting at a vantage point, it is from this vantage point that I'm able to see that that person has their own process to follow, and that I do not owe them a portion or a leg or a branch of my journey to try help them to catch up with me. And that my journey and my healing asks for my own presence. And they have their own presence they're invited into too. And so we don't owe each other anything. There is no contract. There was never a contract. There was only my own need to believe at the time that there was a contract. There was no contract. And so that part of me that believed that there was a need for a contract, I hereby forgive. And I forgive them for how they showed up. Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. That's Lauryn Hill. So many things are coming up around forgiveness. And I believe that forgiveness is so precious. And I'm so grateful for this time taken to transmute anger, to give it space for all of its value. Because more and more, I'm finding myself through this hour using the word forgiveness instead of using the word anger. Because I gave anger its time, and anger has now been transmuted into forgiveness, everlasting. The oracle card I've pulled is from Angels, Gods, and Goddesses. And the card is Goddess of Psychic Protection. What you believe, you create. No one can harm you. And the guidebook says, you subconsciously believe that someone is energetically trying to cause negativity in your life. You have drawn this card today to remind you that the life force or energy at the heart of every living thing is, in essence, love. Each individual soul forms part of a universal soul. All is energetically connected through the light of love. No one can psychically harm you, possess you, or influence you, unless you believe they can. What you believe, you create. You do not need to protect yourself from others as much as you need to protect yourself from your own negative beliefs and fears. To dissolve these beliefs and fears, all you need to do is focus on the light and love within and around you, and within and around every living thing. Imagine pure white light surrounding you each and every moment of your life. Know you are always protected and forever within God's light. Focus on the image of the goddess, whose face appears on this card. Feel the love, light, and wisdom emanating from her. Know that she merely reflects the infinite love, light, and wisdom within you. As I prepare to close, I have one more oracle card from the Rumi Oracle deck. And what I was thinking about was where we began with this, and that the comment that was made on the video that I shared titled Passion. And it's dawning on me now that anger is a form of passion. Okay? And so while passion is also a place to create from and to be in, we often look at it as a positive. And we're unable to see in that moment that for someone else, it brings up a different type of passion. You see, with passion being an energy, this means that each time we encounter it, it can either cause, again, a resonance or result in a resonance or a resistance, depending on how we're experiencing it. And so you can also invite this idea of forgiveness when you encounter something that seems extremely positive or appears extremely positive, but it awakens almost the opposite in you. Because something else that's coming up is that it is our essence that is pure, not our perspective. Our perspective is dual-sided. And so with that suggests that in turning it around, in doing the healing work to flip it on its side, we're able to experience the opposite. Whether that's intentional or not, we are experiencing a perspective. And it's the return to our presence that allows us to remove the perspective and see it for its whole. And so in a sense, I could say that forgiveness applies to all triggers. And something I mentioned earlier, but that I want to present slightly differently to you, is that the process of forgiveness does not now mean that you've got to return to the beginning and start anything from scratch. I'm saying that you're experiencing the opposite, and so it's the flipping of your perspective that allows you to continue exactly from where you are now and continue. This is not a regression. This may feel like a regression, a slight regression. However, everything you feel really angry about or really passionately about in that moment will be flipped on its side. It will not be taken backwards. It will be flipped on its side for you to progress. So if you can imagine the extent of your emotion and the depth of that emotion, expect the opposite back. The card I have here is the Cloak of Christ, card number 4. And the number 4 also brought me into this idea of presence and holding space and meditating over a concept. The guidebook says, in the school of humanity, when you become intimate with God, you reside on the King's throne and teach the angels the nature of the divine. Rumi. My sacred brother, he who shares my heart and yours, beating as one in harmony with the great unending love, brings you the mantle of his protection. Do you imagine that there is any part of your life, of your body, of your soul, that is outside the realm of his divine love and protection? Offer all to him. Leave nothing cast aside. He and I together receive you absolutely, without condition now. The compassion born out of our own struggles tempers the karmic weight of divine justice. We have been through the same journey you are taking now, sweet divine soul. In oneness with the divine heart, we know of your efforts and your struggles. So what is bestowed upon you now is the restoration of forgiveness, of kindness, of mercy. My sacred brother speaks to you. He shall receive your darkness and your light, the angel of your heart and the demon of your fear. Nothing is greater than my brother's love for you. Nothing is greater than my holy passion for you. Take refuge under the cloak of Christ, the mantle of my sacred brother, and know that you are held in our loving sanctuary. You are tired, beloved. Your soul has been ravaged, inside and out, and you are succumbing to struggle that is not karmic or necessary, but a symptom of fatigue and weariness of heart, mind, body, and soul. That which plagues you, whether something specific or a general nagging malaise or anxiety you cannot quite pin down, is not as powerful as you fear. You are being given a grace here and now that it may be overcome. Remember, your reactions are a symptom of your exhaustion and a sign that you need respite, sanctuary, restoration. They are not a sign that something must be done so much as a sign that something must be received, allowed. That something is healing, made possible through divine protection. In this instance, protection is bestowed through the cloak of the Christ. This cloak is a sacred container that places your body and soul within the loving energy of the Christ consciousness. This unconditionally loving energy is not limited to the being bearing its name, but is shared by Rumi and many other holy ones. It is typified by wholeness. There is nothing within you that would cause the Christ to turn away from you, not even those parts of you that may fill you with fear, shame, guilt, or regret. He and Rumi are sacred brothers, loving and supporting of each other, and they see your soul as one of their family, one of their own. You are so loved by them both, equally and without measure. Can you allow yourself to take refuge in this knowledge? To feel it, not only as an idea, nourishing as that is, but as a visceral reality where you complete the sacred honoring ritual and allow yourself to feel the peace and receive healing. The knowledge of the Christ's unconditional love for you is a safe space, a place to fall into when you are struggling. It is a sacred container for your healing process, an energetic field that is stronger and more enduring than even the greatest fears or doubts. The purpose of this sacred container is to provide you with a feeling of being held, especially for those times when you are feeling that you cannot hold yourself. Sometimes we just need permission to break down, to really let go, to come apart and be dissembled, so that we can break through, be lifted up, and come together in a new, more spiritually coherent and loving form to move forward. For you, this is essential. There is a person, place, thing, or belief that has come to be like a manacle around your wrist, or an iron ball and leg iron, preventing you from moving forward with the grace you have earned spiritually. You are being empowered here to shed that. Don't hesitate. Let yourself be cloaked in the Christ energy and receive the spiritual assistance you deserve now. There is a reason for this. The unfolding of your life purpose is taking a turn for the better, and your energy is required to fuel that new life. This is particularly so if you have also drawn the Oracle of Passion for purpose, or intuitively feel drawn to read the message of that card and complete its accompanying sacred honoring ritual. Just remember that whenever we are asked to release something, it is because the divine wishes to fill our hearts and hands with more. Do not hold on to scraps for fear that the feast will be denied to you. Use your nose. Smell the feast awaiting you. Sacred honoring ritual. Open your arms wide above your head and tip your gaze gently up towards the heavens. If you are inside, imagine or intend that you can gaze beyond the physical structure of the ceiling right into the sky that lies above. Lower your arms to prayer position at your heart and say aloud, if possible, Rumi and Jesus Christ, who love me without condition, offer me the cloak of Christ, the mantle of divine protection, now, that I may receive the karmic grace and healing I need through the power and mercy of your presence. Thank you. Sit quietly and imagine you are surrounded by a dark, comforting cloak. You can easily breathe through it. You can easily see light within it, or filtering through it if needs be, or you may feel comfortable in the darkness. Let it be whatever is most relaxing and soothing for you. You may even imagine it to be the night sky dappled with stars wrapping around you. Close your eyes and relax now for as long as feels good. That may be for a minute, for 15 or 20 minutes, or longer. Just be with what feels appropriate and best for you at this time. When you feel you are ready to arise from your rest, simply place your hands at your heart and say thank you. You may notice strong energetic sensations or emotions during this process, or in the following day. You may notice repetitive thought patterns that you need to confront and challenge with more loving thoughts. You may have significant dreams in the evening following also. It may be very subtle for you, so much so that you wonder if anything has happened and if it has worked. It has. The effect will be demonstrated at the right time. Trust. This reference to the card Passion for Purpose is also taking me back to that reading that I mentioned. It's on the channel. It's labeled Passion in red, but I'll leave a link below. And I believe it's a good one to return to once you have flipped this emotion of anger over its side, because there is so much more wisdom available within your awareness once this flip has happened. And what I mean by that is you will then be able to benefit from the reading in the sense that you will not be there to witness someone else's gifts unfolding. You will be able to be there, present, and witness the unfolding of your own. I also want to add that in the singing of this mantra, Ho'oponopono, what happens is that even if you're singing it on your own and nobody else can hear you, your voice carries. Your voice carries way further than you're aware of. And so whenever you feel called to sing it, please do. Even if it doesn't make sense why you're singing it, please sing it. We're like whales. And so when we sing and when we speak, our sound may carry at a volume and a resonance not accessible consciously to all. But the intention and your love travels. It travels. So please follow that call and sing it. To everyone who has been here listening and helping me to hold space for others, I'm so grateful for you, your dedication, and your contribution to collective healing. Sending you love.